This is one of my favorite places to photograph, and not a lot of people come here, but I tell you, when the tides are right, the amount of detail and tide pools and wonderful things that you can get is just fantastic. And you know, the thing with this spot is that it does require a little bit of a hike down a somewhat sketchy trail. And doing it in the dark coming out is never that much fun, but tonight we're going to go give it a shot and see what we can do. And out there on those rocks, most times of the day you find some seals and sea lions out there, and that's a wonderful place to come out and shoot a little wildlife. But as we round the corner here, we can start to see this beach. It's one of the gems of the Oregon coast. I tell you, we're getting here just about at the right time. The light is starting to get that golden quality to it, and things are just looking beautiful. And we made it down to the beach. This is a fantastic agating beach as well. I come down here after winter storms, find some great agates, but tonight I'm after some other kinds of gems, and that would be photographic ones. And as I walk along the beach here, I'm looking at the quality of light and how it's casting shadows across the rocks and across the sand. I'm watching the surf line to see if there's any interesting shapes developing in the surf line. The tide is receding, it's going out, and so that's something to just be aware of anytime you're around the ocean, is be aware of what the tides will do. But this is just absolutely spectacular down here. Let me give you a pro tip, learned from experience. If you're one of those people that likes to take their packs off while they're shooting, anytime you're around the ocean, put it well above any sort of tide line that you might see, any fresh tide lines. I can't tell you how many times, especially when I was just starting out, I put my pack down within relatively easy reach, but still a ways from the surf, and then an errant wave, a rogue wave would come along, and it would come up the beach, and once or twice I flooded my backpack. Thankfully, my cameras were okay, but I tell you, it was a lesson that I learned. And so nowadays, I'll put my camera way behind me up there, my backpack, and just have to walk a little extra distance if I want to switch lenses or do whatever. So be sure, if you set your pack down, make sure that it's going to stay dry while you're away from it. Golden hour on the beach is one of my favorite times. It's about an hour, a little more than an hour. I'll get to the location before sunset and spend the time photographing in this golden light. The quality of light is so amazing. It's low angled. Generally it's diffused with some mist or some offshore fog of some sort, and it just bathes the landscape in this golden color. And so this is oftentimes one of my most productive times of the evening. Sunsets are great, but unless you have like near perfect clouds, they're often somewhat of a letdown, a little bit anticlimactic. But I tell you, golden hour and then blue hour after sunset are two of the most special times to be on the beach. And most times here during golden hour, I will put away my wide angle lens and I will choose to go with a medium telephoto, like a 70 to 200, or in my case on the Fujifilm a 50 to 140. And that allows me to really get into the details that I see on the sand, on the rocks, maybe a surf line that's just shimmering in gold. And all of this stuff at the golden hour is really tighter shots than a wide angle can provide. Oops, almost got wet. Speaking of always keeping your eye on the ocean. So a medium telephoto is a great thing to have when shooting during this time of night. The other tip that I'll give you, a lot of people say whenever you're around water, put on a circular polarizer. And I agree to a large extent. However, during this time of night, during this golden hour, sometimes I really love the reflection and the quality of the light. It's really about the light quality. That's really the star of the show. And so putting on a circular polarizer sort of diminishes that quality, and the pictures don't come out nearly as well. So I use the reflections, I use the brightness, the specular highlights to my advantage when I'm out doing stuff like this during this time of the evening. A little bit later on, as we start getting towards sunset, I might use one to cut some of the reflection on the rocks, because really the sky turns into the star of the show more so than the light. This is really a time for seeing and learning how to see, learning how the light interacts with the location and the subjects around you, looking at small details in the sand, the way the waves curl around the rocks, little tufts of foam that are left in the wake of a receding wave. This is all about details, it's subtlety, it's nuance, and it's that quality of light. Well, golden hour is just about done, and it's transitioning into sunset. So I came back to my backpack, which was safely stored out of the surf zone, and I'm going to swap out and put on my wide angle lens, grab my filters, make sure I have enough memory cards and batteries to go through sunset, and then I'm going to go find my composition or two compositions to shoot sunset with. Now, as I've been walking around through golden hour, I've been looking at, of course, the angle of the sun. Where is it positioned in relation to the beach? I've been watching the surf and how it interacts with the shoreline, because in some waves break in a really interesting manner. Other ones are just sort of soft and blah. So I've been paying attention to possible compositions. But I've got my eye on these rocks here just to my right, and I'll go show you what those look like once I get set up. So here's the first area I've picked for my initial composition. Notice that the angle here, I'm pointing right at the sun, so I'll be able to capture the sun as it dips below the horizon. I've got a wonderful channel of rocks to the left and the right, and I've got some rocks right in the middle that will give me, hopefully, some good water motion when I slow my shutter speed down enough. As I scan to the right over here, I've got another cluster of rocks that could be interesting from a water motion perspective. However, I don't see a lot of symmetry or leading lines in them towards the sun, so I did not go over there initially. And anytime you're shooting around these beach rocks, the thing to keep in mind is that these rocks, they're volcanic. They're very dark, and when you're shooting towards the sun and the sunset, these rocks are going to be absolutely black. You won't generally be able to preserve a lot of details in them, so use these rocks sparingly as supporting elements in your composition. I use immediate foreground rocks for water motion. As the wave curls around the rock, you get some really nice foam trails, but large rocks to the left, to the right, or in the center are just going to be large dark objects in your frame without any detail. So be really careful how much of these rocks you have in your shot when you're shooting sunset at the coast. And even though we are not full-on sunset yet, if I wanted to start shooting and get some longer shutter speeds, what I could do is put on one of my ND filters, and these are the Maven magnetic filters that I use. Love them 100%. You know, I've got anywhere from 2-stop ND up to a 15-stop ND. Love using these to really slow down the shutter speed and get that kind of water motion. Whenever you're shooting with a wide angle lens, I really recommend you get low and you get close to your subject. And in this case, I have this large rock formation right in the center of my composition. And so I want to get my tripod low and as close as I can to the rocks. And then the other thing too is that I went with a vertical orientation right now because I really want to accentuate the water motion, and I want to eliminate the dark rocks on either side of either edge of my photograph. So orienting my camera vertically lets me really kind of trim up the scene as much as I can and get rid of any obstructions on the left and the right and shoot a nice shot that has a lot of motion. The other tip I'll give you too is generally when I'm shooting the waves, I tend to shoot as the waves recede. So I'll let the waves come all the way in, they'll pause, and then they'll start to move out. Now, depending on the volume of water and the speed of the water, that dictates when I'm going to press the shutter button. And a lot of this is really just trial and error and what you like. I like to have foam streaks and I like to have definition in those streaks. So I want a little bit faster shutter speed. I don't want completely blurred cotton candy water. So I'll want a faster shutter speed, and I'll want it when I'll snap the button when the foam is, in my opinion, the most defined as it comes out. So it's really kind of a trial and error and a fun thing, and here comes the wave. So I've moved locations and I'm just a little bit over to the left of where I was because I wanted to shoot a few shots in the landscape orientation, and I found these really nice rocks right in front of the camera, which is great. I can point at the sun, which is great. The only downside is that if you look on the right hand side of the screen, there's a little bit of this rock formation jutting in on the right where there's nothing on the left. So it feels a smidge unbalanced, but I'm going to take it anyway and get home and see what I think of it. And if I post it up in this video, you guys let me know what you think. Because there's no clouds in the sky, it's kind of a blank, bald sky and kind of boring. I am choosing to include more foreground than I am sky. And that's just because there's a lot more visual interest down here in the foreground than there is up in the sky. So That's why I'm looking for really interesting things down here at the bottom. Unfortunately, the sun has moved behind a offshore cloud bank. It's the marine layer that's here in the middle of January, and the sun moved behind it, which is kind of killing the immediate sunset, but we might get some beautiful afterglow. Well, that's it for sunset. I think all the color that was going to happen during sunset has happened. And so now we have a few minutes to wait until maybe the afterglow happens and then blue hour. And we'll see if there's any color that might develop or anything interesting that we see on the beach as it darkens up. As I was walking back to my bag, I noticed a little something, so I thought I'd come over here, and I think I found a great little comp. This pool of water with the foam floating in it, when the waves still down enough, the foam just becomes these little islands in the water, and it's a great channel leading out to this pastel sky that's behind me. And I've only got just a couple of minutes to photograph this before that color in the sky goes away, so I'm going to get to it and see what might develop. It's a little too dark to photograph, but you can see some of the anemones in the cracks right here. There's a lot of good sea life here starting to develop as the tide goes out. Well, I think that's the end of the shoot for tonight. I'm not seeing anything good develop, but it's been a wonderful evening on the beach. I mean, anytime you can get out is great, and even if you don't come home with a photograph, it's also great. The experience of being here, hearing the ocean, just the soothing effects of this does wonders for me. So I'm super happy I got out. I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked some of the images that I shared with you during this. And you know, if you want, join me here on the Oregon coast sometime. I run regular workshops out here and would love to have you out and show you this wonderful stretch of the Oregon coastline. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget, tickle that bell, subscribe to the channel, do everything you got to do. Help me keep this thing going. Thanks for watching, and happy shooting. Bye-bye.